Alright, this Jean Pormanove person, I probably butchered the pronunciation of that because it's a French name, but he was a kick streamer. And I believe he passed away. I heard some stuff in passing, but he passed away. And I think before then he was doing a competition with this guy. I believe it was because he was doing it against his own will, and he lost the competition. He had to endure a lot of torture from these people. And yeah, it's very terrible stuff. That's like kind of the stuff I've heard in passing, but I haven't really like fully deep dived into it. This person is ready to glare. This is a video I found on the situation. So yeah, let's see what we have.
All right, so more concerning news from Twitter. Now, I don't know.
Twitter. That's like one of the worst places to get your news from. Actually, not really, but there is a lot of misinformation. It depends who you follow and who you curate your feed to.
How much you guys tune into the streaming world. I admittedly do not. I am not super familiar with the online geography of streaming. Let me be
Hey, at least you're not terminally online. I respect that.
clear. I'm no expert on that. That being said, I am consistently alarmed by what's going on streaming platforms. We'll get more into that in a second, but the reason why I'm talking about this, as some of you may have guessed, is because of the French live streamer who died. His name was Raphael Gravon, but he went as JP online, as far as I understand.
Yeah, I would not have been able to get that French pronunciation, but yeah, that's very terrible that he died. The people who are responsible for it need to be fucking held accountable.
So
I really think there needs to be something said about how, like, Kick just allows degenerate shit to constantly keep happening. It's like last year we had a huge predator problem of people just like going on Omegle or Omi TV and any website it's similar in that vein and just like recording girls without their knowledge, like, and sometimes they would get naked on camera, and a lot of them were underage, unfortunately. So, and then we had like the guy going up to random civilians and doing a prank and then threatening them with like a pistol and shit. And now we have like, it's just like Kick always has such degenerate shit constantly happening. It's basically Twitch without rules, or without most of its rules, we'll say anyway.
there are clips of this floating around on the internet of his lifeless body and things that were happening before on stream. Strongly suggest you skip them. I came across them against my will, just posted on Twitter. Screen recordings, so just beware of all of that. Tortured, abused by two others for days on livestream, French influencer dies. French streamer Raphael Gravon, known for extreme online challenges, has died following alleged abuse during live broadcasts. A French streamer known for participating in extreme online challenges has died, prompting a judicial investigation. Raphael Gravon, 46, also known online as Jean Pormanove, or JP, was found dead at his home in Comte near Nice following a live broadcast. According to reports, Gravon had endured 10 days and nights of torture, including severe physical violence and sleep deprivation. His followers raised the...
Jesus fucking Christ. So, like, just for context, by the way, like, that's really fucking insane. I'm pretty sure there were clips going around of this guy that were like, he would be waking up in the middle of the night just to be tortured, so maybe he, like, wasn't inclined to sleep at night because he had to be on alert at all times from all the fucking torture he'd endure. That's fucked up, dude. That's really messed up.
alarm after noticing him lying unresponsive on a mattress during the live stream. One viewer reportedly saw a man throw a water bottle at him while he remained motionless.
Oh my god, these fucking assholes. This is what I'm talking about. Like, these people really... I don't know, man. Hopefully they all, I guess we're on the same page that these people who were involved in torturing him and everything, should be charged with murder, right? Hopefully we're all on the same page there.
French newspaper Le Monde reported that Gravon had been involved in online content involving humiliation and violence. Authorities say he was subjected to ongoing abuse and public humiliation in recent months. The news portal reported that Raphael, a former soldier, was routinely beaten and abused by two fellow influencers during live streams. Clara Chapaz, No idea. A government minister called the case an absolute horror and confirmed a judicial probe is underway.
Okay, that's good. So they're moving it further in the legal process of wherever they are, France, obviously. So they're moving it further. I guess that's the few good news, like the little good news that can come from this. It's not a lot, though. It's really fucking terrible that this happened to him. That's really sad.
We'll get to discussing the platform that this occurred on, because that is very much part of the
It was Kick, just for context, yeah.
Conversation right now, because as you can imagine, shit like this doesn't happen on YouTube and Twitch. This happened on Kick. Now, that might not seem like an integral part of the conversation.
It is. No, it absolutely is. I mean, when you think about it, Kick has been the center of controversy because they just refuse to take action on literally fucking anything unless they're forced to. The only time they take action is when, like, tons of people say, hey, you gotta do something about this. That's why the Predator problem, they almost did nothing about it for months. It was going on for months and months, and they were doing nothing until they had to do something about it because people were crying out for it. And if they want to be, like, a serious competitor to Twitch or to Rumble or to all these other, like, Twitch streaming platforms, then why are you allowing shit like this to happen? It really just doesn't make sense. It's like, it's always something with Kick. It's always something new that's just fucking happening over and over again.
But it actually is, in my opinion. YouTube, Twitch, and other platforms like that are not completely unconnected from platforms like Kick. Because a lot of the reason that I see people going on Kick, from what I understand, is that there is less control and censorship, which sounds like a good thing, generally speaking, not being censored, being able to, not get copyrighted every 5 seconds like you might.
Sure, yeah, and, like, in theory, that sounds good. It's like communism. I'm gonna make a weird comparison. Kick is like communism. Communism, in theory, back in the day, sounded good. Everybody gets the wealth shared amongst them. That sounds pretty good, but when you put it into practice, it enables a lot of dictatorships. A lot of the governments become authoritarian, just like very, very, there has never been a successfully good communist government that has been remaining to be a solid, fulfilling environment, we'll say. I don't want to say not successful because it was around for a while, but it doesn't mean it was healthy. The same thing with Kick, right? The thing about Kick is that it is very laissez-faire when it comes to their policy. And so what winds up happening is people look at that and go, oh, okay, so what is the most degenerate shit I can get away with on this platform? And then you see people like Jack Doherty harassing people. That's like, surprisingly, that's like the least bad of it with Jack Doherty. Then you had like the Kick Predator problem that Something About Chickens exposed. And then you have like people threatening others with a gun. You have all these degenerate IRL streamers. You had people at TwitchCon streaming IRL at Kick, just like trolling people at TwitchCon and stuff, which apparently they're going to be doing. They're going to be taking more action to like enforce these rules. But it's still very, very like, it's just insane that Kick just allows this shit to like continuously happen.
On YouTube is great. At the same time, it does allow for certain behaviors to go unchecked. And that's the thing about Kick, is that in moderation, it doesn't have to be harmful. But because people go to these extremes, there are then platforms like YouTube and Twitch which censor a lot and moderate a lot, which can be a good thing, obviously, but on the other hand, for people who are not doing anything wild or outside of the norm, they also are censored. Does that make sense? So as much as I think Kick is to blame, for not moderating, for not stepping in, for not doing anything about this type of content on their platform, people go to Kick because YouTube and Twitch are the way they are. Does that make sense?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can get behind that too much. Like, yes, YouTube has historically had a problem with censoring people in very stupid ways, I agree. Do we have that problem as much now? No. Definitely not. I don't think we have that problem nearly as much now compared to how bad it got. Like, I want to say around maybe like 2017 to 2019-ish was when it was like really, really bad, the censorship. But like overall, I don't think it's like terrible. The rules are pretty straightforward. Don't have hateful shit on your platform. It's really not that difficult to follow. Like when you really think about it, it's like really, really not that difficult. Just be a normal fucking person on these platforms and don't say or do dumb shit that could get you banned. I don't think Twitch and YouTube are as problematic with that now as they were back in the day. Now Kick is just, and because of that specifically, because they have those rules specifically curated for that purpose, I feel like Kick now is like, Kick needs to have some level of moderation on their platform, like some level of it. There can't just be like no rules whatsoever, because then you have shit like this happening. And like I said, it's just every fucking day something is happening with Kick.
So it's like people go to this extreme because this is another extreme. People are demanding for a response out of Kick that allowed all of this to go on. And I think a big part of that is also that this wasn't happening over the span of an hour, right? This is one of Kick's top streamers in France with a huge following who did this for 10 days. So you'd think someone would have noticed, seen, and I don't know how Kick works, but sent an alert, a warning of, hey, you need to stop with this content or we'll have to step in, something. Or even JP's family, friends of the other streamers who were there. It's just so odd to me that this seemed to kind of happen in a bubble where seemingly nobody stepped in or said anything. Obviously that we know of. It's possible that these people were getting texted and warned and all these things that we don't know. Works, but sent an alert, a warning of, hey, you need to stop with this content or we'll have to step in, something. Or even JP's family, friends of the other streamers who were there. It's just so odd to me that this seemed to kind of happen in
I mean, you say friends, but like the problem that I have with that is that like he didn't really have, like, they weren't really his friends. You know what I mean? Like, they were literally torturing him on stream. It wasn't really, like, it doesn't make sense to call them his friends when they were just there to torture him and harass the fuck out of him because he lost, like, a streaming contest or whatever. It's really fucked up.
A bubble where seemingly nobody stepped in or said
like I said, the people behind this really, I think we're all on the same page when I say that they should be charged with murder.
Anything. Obviously that we know of. It's possible that these people were getting texted and warned and all these things that we don't know. But it seems like Kick the platform did not step in at all. So here there's a tweet by the government minister I mentioned, Clara Chapaz. So it says, the death of Jean-Pierre Pormanove and the violence he suffered are an absolute horror. I extend my deepest condolences to his family and loved ones. Jean Pormanove was humiliated and mistreated for months live on the Kick platform. A judicial investigation is underway. I have referred the matter to ARCOM and made a report on Pharos. I don't know what any of those are. Okay, so ARCOM is the French regulatory authority for audiovisual and digital communication. So as you can see in the rest of this description, basically it is there as a form of regulatory system. If we move on, Pharos is a little bit of a similar situation where you report illegal or harmful online content. So it seems like both of these are almost
probably within their like parliamentary system, I believe. I think France is under parliament, right? Or that's like a parliament. Let me do a quick check on that. That might just be Britain and I'm being fucking stupid right now. Yeah, wow, French parliament. Okay, so I was right. Yeah, okay, cool. I just had to do a quick Google search on my phone. All right, cool.
Like an internet police of sorts. Clearly, there are issues here, but I suppose this is a start if something is done about it. I have also contacted the platform's management to obtain explanations. The responsibility of online platforms regarding the dissemination of illicit content is not optional, it is the law. This type of failure can lead to the worst and has no place in France, Europe, or anywhere else.
Yeah, so, I mean, I agree. Yeah, like I said, like, hopefully, I know they're moving forward with this legally, so that's, like, a positive thing that's coming from this, but still, that's really, it's just fucking horrible that this was allowed to occur to begin with.
Then it goes on to say, Sarah El Heri, France's High Commissioner for Children, described the incident as horrifying in a statement on social media. She wrote, platforms have an immense responsibility in regulating online content so that our children are not exposed to violent content. I call on parents to exercise the utmost vigilance. So the reason why I think that this is also interesting in a somewhat separate way is that it is very much shining a light on the type of content that people are choosing to consume. Like I said,
yeah, but I mean, it's more like Kick is just allowing this content to continue. Unfortunately, people are going to consume degenerate content regardless, and there's not really much you can do to stop those people, but you can control how that content is viewed, and I feel like we need to just give like a hard no on content like this, that's like very torture-esque like this.
Prior, I think the censorship on certain websites, on certain platforms generally, is part of the problem because
No, you're probably going to lose a lot of people on this point. I'm sorry. Like, I really don't think Twitch and YouTube is that much of an issue.
it makes people resort to going on platforms where there is seemingly no regulation, which is also its own can of worms, very obviously.
No, I disagree. I think Twitch and YouTube are fine now. Like, the rules that are put in place, like, yeah, could it be better? Could Twitch and YouTube have better rules in place so it's not as restrictive? Maybe. Definitely. I'd be open to that. But generally speaking, I would say nowadays YouTube and Twitch are pretty good with their rules, I would say. Back then, it was kind of fucking ridiculous, and I agree. There were some YouTube videos and, like, Twitch people that were getting banned for no reason. Seemingly no reason. The system they had in place was a little too strict. I agree. But, like, nowadays, it's a lot better now.
That being said, it's also the fact that people are tuning into this, right? Because apparently, as this article said, this content creator was doing these challenges, which I don't know if the challenges were always this extreme, but that means that there's clearly an...
Well, based on what I heard, he was doing the challenges against his will. Like, I don't even think he, like, consented to doing the challenges to begin with. They, like, had, like, some level of extortion over him. They said, hey, if you don't do these challenges, we're gonna do this to you. Or something like that. They were really, like, forcing him to do it. It's really fucked up.
Audience for that type of stuff. And I'm really wondering if that audience comes from a place of morbid curiosity or if it's coming from the place of kind of like when you have a parent who tells you, hey, no matter what you do, don't watch this one movie, don't watch this one movie, and they keep telling you to not watch the movie. What's going to happen when you're alone and have the opportunity to watch the movie? You might watch the fucking movie because you've been told constantly to not. Well, I don't think Kick can
Kind of like a Streisand effect almost, yeah?
be solely blamed for this, and neither can YouTube or any other platform. I do think it's interesting that people are tuning in to this type of content because realistically, like I said, I don't watch streamers, but at the same time, it's also, how can you watch 10 days of streaming of someone being humiliated constantly?
Maybe this might be a weird thing, and I know a lot of people are going to really look at me with disgust on this. Maybe it's a fucking kink to some people. I'm not even kidding. Some people might have like they might legitimately get off the content like that. I know you're going to look at me and go, that's very gross of you to say, Icon. Like, what the fuck are you like going on about? That's a real thing. Some people legitimately look at torture content. I remember there was like a YouTube channel that got banned a long time ago. It was like old YouTube. I never consumed this content myself, but like a lot of stories were told about it where this guy would wear like high heel boots or whatever, and he would step on all sorts of different objects. Some of those would be like dead animal carcasses. Some of them would be like dead. He would like step on all sorts of like different objects, and it was like almost like a kink to some people. I think the YouTube channel got banned back then, even because it's funny. YouTube was pretty laissez-faire back then as well, but even back then that was still too much for them, and so they were able to ban that channel. But still, it's like very like weird shit.
Don't understand who would want to do that simply because I can understand the curiosity of wanting to see a clip or seeing what those streams are like. I can understand that. The thing is, I'm wondering how you amass an audience that is fine with seeing you be tortured, humiliated, whatever, for 10 days. Now, I know that there were prior challenges, and it seems like this was the general type of content that JP made, and that's another story. But I'm just wondering who exactly is watching this and why. And like I said prior, I don't really think we can solely blame platforms because at the end of the day, we humans are the ones who are subscribing, following, watching, whatever. So the question is,
I don't really like this point necessarily because like yes, humans are the problem, but that doesn't mean we just take away the like all the blame from Kick, because that's kind of what this argument is starting to sound like just a little bit, is that you're like trying to sort of steer the blame away from Kick just a little bit, which is like, no, Kick is definitely responsible for allowing this to get on their platform to begin with and not saying anything about it. It's always, like I said, it's always fucking something with Kick. I don't really like this, like, we can't just solely blame Kick. Kick is a large part to blame in this, 100%. They just are. And the people that were doing it to begin with, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm all for them getting charged with murder for this, because I would count this as murder, 100%.
larger
Hopefully everyone else is on the same page as that.
question about why it is that people are watching this in the first place. But I do think that the platforms contribute to all of this because, like I said prior, if you are on platforms that seemingly censor a lot of completely mild, non-issue things, what are you going to do? You're going to seek the platform that censors, seemingly regulates, seemingly nothing. And the thing is, so long as everyone's moderate, that will not go poorly. The thing is, when we see content like this, when we see people stream for 10 days being abused in all sorts of ways, and people in the chat just laughing it off and thinking it's hilarious, we have a very big issue because it's a lose-lose. On this platform, you can't say anything. On this platform, you can do anything.
Stop with this fucking comparison, please. Like, Twitch and YouTube are not as restrictive as people claim them to be. Like, listen, they used to be, but like nowadays it's not that much of an issue. In fact, I would say we're in a pretty good spot with like what YouTube allows and what YouTube doesn't allow. Same with Twitch. It's actually fairly reasonable, and it's why I don't think Kick will be as successful as them. Even though Kick is starting to compete with them, Kick historically has just allowed a lot of degenerate shit on their website. So it's a very, or platform, we'll say. It's a huge problem. So I really don't think, I don't really like, this comes off as like a weird, this comes off as like a weird cowardly centrist take, if you want me to be real with you. Like, that's kind of what I'm getting from this content creator. This is like a weird cowardly take to have, because you're just you're giving more charity for this kind of content to exist on Kick. And I'm not saying that you are fully siding with them. That's not at all what I'm saying from this content creator, but it's a very weird way to like frame this. It's just, I don't know. I don't really like the way that this like situation is being framed.
Anything seemingly. And there's no middle ground where, you know, there's an ideal type of balance, which granted is going to be hard to attain, but it seems like right now it is extremely polarized in one way or the other. So
I would say it's more polarized on Kick than anything else. You could definitely make an argument for Twitch just a little bit, but it's, again, the rules that are in place is not the issue.
So interestingly,
like, each platform has its own set of issues. The rules on Twitch and YouTube, not one of them.
Enough, a lawyer for one of the two co-streamers that were obviously streaming with Pormanove told BFM television the victim had cardiovascular problems and that the violence in the videos was acted. All those scenes are just staged. They follow a script, he said.
Is that really the case? Where are you reading this from?
French media have shown excerpts of hours-long videos during which Pormanove is seen suffering blows, insults, strangulation, dousing with paint and oil, and being shot at with a paintball gun. It was not clear from the excerpts whether Pormanove had subjected himself to the violence voluntarily or was forced to endure it, nor whether the action was real or staged.
I don't think it was staged. If he died from it, you're going to have a tough time arguing that it was staged. I don't even know where you're reading this from.
This is the other...
I have a hard time believing this was staged. I'm sorry. Like, I get that a lot of content is staged. This is not one of those situations.
Interesting aspect of this is whether this was real or staged, which...
Well, if he fucking died, I don't know if that was, like, staged.
To a degree, I don't even know how much that matters in the big picture, because in a way, I think staged is so much worse because you really sat down and planned out, hey, okay, so these are the things we're gonna do. We already know that that's kind of how it works. Back in the day, even when there were YouTube prank channels, a lot of that was obviously staged. So this is in no way new, but it's very odd to think about people kind of deciding to be violent, quote unquote violent, I suppose, based on some general plan that they made and banking on that. Because not only does that show how predictable audiences are that they'll tune in to see the violence, but also the fact that you are entirely okay with taking all of these risks. Because as much as there's no way to defend any of this behavior, it's also one thing if it had been a question of they took things too far in the moment, they weren't thinking, and this happened, and that's tragic. That to me is less calculated and more understandable, not justifiable, but understandable, than, hey, let's sit down and make a plan of how we're going to basically simulate abuse for 10 days and then just make money off of it, question mark. Planned or unplanned, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't make that big of a difference because the result is still the result. But
I just don't even think, I don't even know why this is part of the conversation to begin with. I don't know why we're like talking about whether or not it was or it wasn't staged. I just don't think that's very productive on saying, how do we move forward from this? How do we make sure that shit like this doesn't happen on Kick again? Because this is fucking terrible.
I do wonder how this is going to work going forward, because hopefully this puts some kind of precedent for Kick to regulate more or to hire more people for their own online safety. Also because I don't really know who this man's audience was, but if children tuned into this, because children or younger demographics typically do watch
It's possible that it's children. I mean, there are a lot of children that tune into a lot of degenerate Kick content, like the prank stuff and like the public trolling and the IRL streams that Kick enables. So it's possible that it is a lot of children. I wouldn't doubt it.
More than say.
Oh yeah, and Zerka and the heel Mike person as well that were streaming them being with like fucking 16-year-old girls or 15-year-old girls or whatever. It was very gross stuff while they were in their 30s.
30 and 40-year-olds. I am curious as to how this affects them mentally, and also just the concept of seeing someone basically die in front of your eyes potentially if you were tuned in. I understand that it wasn't a gory death, but nonetheless,
that doesn't matter.
That is something I'm glad to never have witnessed, because I feel like that would fuck anyone up, honestly. Even if you don't know the person, you're not friends with them, in a parasocial way, I suppose. Like I said, the clips are circulating on Twitter, so I would be very careful. People on Twitter are further demonstrating my point that people are treating this gleefully as if it was some silly, like a death in a show, you know?
I mean, people on Twitter are going to act like people on Twitter. It is what it is. There's not really much you can do about that, so I just don't think they're worth attention. People will do anything to rage bait and, like, tweet anything out. Again, Twitter is just a fucking toxic cesspool, and it's an outrage machine. You know, people are going to tweet anything out, even if it means throwing away their morality or morale or anything, just to get, like, likes and make money off it. That's literally all Twitter is, especially after Elon took over, where like there's now white supremacists running rampant on the platform.
Like an actual person dying on stream, which is so dystopian and scary that I barely know how to discuss this without feeling like we are in some kind of terrifying simulation. But anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments.
It's a bit doom and gloom, but okay.
Down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always. I'll catch you guys next time.
Alright, listen, I probably should have picked a better video to watch this topic. I think this was a mediocre video to talk about this topic. It kind of leaned in like the centrist, oh, well, Kick's not entirely the problem. I would agree, but you're giving way too much charity to Kick, and I wouldn't have done it. I guess it's not the worst video I've ever seen, but I would have picked a better video. Yeah, I mean, like, this is a horrible, disgusting situation just all around. It's very, very, it's very sad. It's a really evil and sad, and just, like, it's, the fact that Kick just allowed this to happen was just, it just goes to show that Kick is just a problematic platform that enables way too much degeneracy. And, somebody died on their platform, so, again, massive problem. Massive, massive problem.